G'day guys, dshban here, playing howdy. That's how you pronounce that, I think. No, it's Koei Presents, a Ku Shibusawa production. They're the best type of production. From It Is historical simulation series. Good punctuation. Back in 17,000, England and Ireland were places which had about 40 trees between them. A boat left from the west of England, that's probably even Wales you'd call it, attempting to find land. Don't know why they went that way, because they really had no clue that there was land there. Of course, apart from the fact that Columbus went over there several years before, at least 2. Yes, he went over there looking for the place that he was finding, and he was not looking for it, because he found it. Yes, and Great Britain, talking about taxation. Taxation is of course important, because you see, this game is about the Tea Party. Christine O'Donnell created it. She is a coder, but not a witch. You see how those things are not exclusive. Yes, this is a video game about the American Revolution, guys. We'll find that out by the fact that we've seen it. March 1775, the Virginia Convention did occur. It was a famous convention in Virginia. I got that from the title. I'm pretty, cluey like that. Patrick Henry had 2 first names and said we shouldn't deceive ourselves any longer. And then it finished. It was pretty quick like that. Liberty or death is the game. It's good to see that famous quote about give me liberty or give me death from the American Revolution is now being used to name Super Nintendo programs. So that's pretty great. I'm gonna be American, even though, to be fair, the Americans at the time of the American Revolution were still pretty British, since they were only British, what were they, it was 100 years old or something? I don't know. I only studied it in year 11 and did well in it and got like a pretty good score out of it, which helped me get into university. I don't know. I don't know much about it. I just studied it for, half a year. So I don't know why I know anything. Anyway, it's an American Revolution game created by the Japanese, which is strange because you'd think that the Japanese would suspect that the American Revolution was basically giant dragons versus giant turtles versus giant sea monsters. And that is my interpretation of their interpretation of historical events. Seems to be what they think is mostly going on. The Continental Congress, for those who have studied the American Revolution, like myself, smug face, even though you can't see it. It was all about taxation, which is true. It was also all about allocation of funds, which probably is less true, and although it probably did have a lot of fund allocation involved, it's just that probably wasn't the part that you learned in school, like me. I learned more about the battles, the Battle of Battleston, Michigan, near Battle Creek, Battle River, and Battle Gully. Very exciting. We can totally have 3 ships now, guys. Those 3 ships are going to help us defeat the British. Because I don't know, Britain in the 1700s, I think they had a couple of ships. I mean, maybe like 3, 4. So if we have 3, we should be about equal. We've saved 43 today. Don't know why. So this is the map of the colonies. Of course, as you will remember, there weren't 11 colonies or however many. There was definitely at least 28. And then like 40 more. And I don't remember that famous cartoon with the snake and Divide or Die or whatever it was, having that many parts of the snake. Would have probably been too many names to fit in. I don't think the Carolinas were that important that they needed to be split up into about 30 different colonies. But alas, is a name for a girl. This game is about feeding soldiers. We have 1,772 breads and 2,088 bombs. So that's pretty good. We're going to throw some bombs at the British. And it's 4,726 guys with feathers in their cap. I tip my cap to the... George Washington has 100 rating in his body. I didn't know he was that hot. I have not gone on Hot or Not recently, but George Washington I don't think was on there. Ye olde version of Hot or Not, which is of course a website carved entirely out of wood. He does though have 60 arms according to that menu, because all the mutants that led the American Revolution did have 60 arms instead of 2. We're going to attack Boston, because Boston deserves to be shot. Or everything. I'm from Boston, go Sox! That's all I can do in terms of a Boston accent, while not sounding just terrible. I believe I've tried a Boston accent before, and as you've seen and heard just now, it's pretty appalling. I think I've said before, I have very few accents. Even impressions, really. I can do like a Richard Nixon, which sucks. That's about it. Richard Nixon is my main impression. Anytime I try and do a male voice, it just comes out sounding like Nixon. So that sucks. We're going to allot this many rations because really, if you remember the American Revolution, it was all about the Boston Massacre, which of course did involve the death of thousands and thousands of American revolutionaries rather than about 4. That's why it was called a massacre. The media wouldn't spin that sort of thing. Media, doesn't spin things. I would know this as the journalist that I am. We're going to get Portsmouth to help us because Pompey, the football side, are out of money, but good at helping you in terms of being a garrison. So that's nice of them, and also Newport. So that's pretty great. By the way, Boston looked like it has a penis there, if you look at the map. It's got a bit of a weird-shaped pointing penis, so that's a thing. Let's not talk about penis shape anymore. And having decided which of the Greens will go into battle, Springfield will now attack Boston. Yes, the Simpsons are involved in the American Revolution. Why wouldn't they be? And now it's time to play Advance Wars DS, I guess. That's what it looks like to me. No, this is a very exciting game. We've got to position our troops. We've got to position them in positions such as position A or position B. No, in fact, we've got to highlight this territory with like a purpley thing, and then put our guys in places. And that's the British. You can tell because they're wearing red. That made sense because there's the main colour in the British flag is red, not the blue that the Americans are wearing. By the way, Americans stealing the colours of the British in their flag. Real creative, guys. You wouldn't want to go with like the green and yellow of, I don't know, Botswana. What is it? Green, yellow, and blue? I don't think it's green, yellow. Maybe it's Sierra Leone or Malawi or Equatorial Guinea. I could keep going on naming African countries, but I should probably tell you what's going on. This is a Super Nintendo game, as I've mentioned. You have to defeat the British. Is this the basic gist of it? You go ahead and you try and battle them. Problem is, I'm not exactly sure how to do this. They seem to be just standing there. I guess it's turn-based. This is new territory. Build a bridge, 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 build a bridge. You built a bridge. Good. They built a bridge. It was a bridge they built. Looks more like tiling to me, though. That is my concern, that my horse has turned white into a unicorn, presumably. Also, that bridge is more like they've entirely paved over an inlet, part of the river. I mean, I don't know that the Boston River, is that a thing, is entirely paved over. It was done so in the American Revolution, but it's good to see that we're making an old history now. I'm sure there'll be a lot of slash fiction written about this story. George Washington just lost 130, whatever it was he lost. You really haven't determined the currency. Which, to be fair, currency was a defining factor of the American Revolution with the tea and the tax that was going on at the time, so no bad sense. And, just to get all political, as I am wont to do, the Tea Party of today, a lot like the Tea Party of the American Revolution, in that they have the same name. That's about it. I don't think that the American Revolution was backed by large corporations and started by some guy going on a rant in a Chicago stock exchange rather than a grassroots effort. Let's shoot a boat. It doesn't work. Shooting boats is useful in that you can sink them. But apparently not when you're George Washington. He seems to be very bad at guns. Lying, bad as well. So, if you ever need George Washington to lie about shooting a boat, I can't tell. Would he be good or bad at that? Who knows? Certainly not historians. We'll never know. Build a bridge, but you built a bridge before. You could not build one now, though? That is strange that you would not be able to do such a thing. I don't get why some of these, my characters, my little generals here with their lovely hats, can't move 2 places sometimes, but some of them can. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have George Washington in the front lines, by the way. He does seem to be getting murdered by the British. And I don't know that the American Revolution would have gone as well as it did in terms of, America becoming the world's greatest superpower. It went quite well in that sense. If George Washington had died and not become their first president, let's back him up, I guess. Let's do that. Green guy from Pompeii, you can come down into the hills. The hills now have eyes, defending them. In that sense, they're not a horror movie in any other sense. Build a bridge, build a bridge, build. You didn't build a bridge. I wanted you to build a bridge. Why didn't you build a bridge? You're not building a bridge when I asked you to build a bridge. It's not good. But no, let's attack with these guys, and you can go onto this hill. That's pretty exciting. There's a nice pattern we got going on at least. So, and the horsies, of course, can move 2 places. Go ponies! Ponies, the best weapons of the revolution. Love ponies. We're flanking these guys, by the way, as they defend the bay. Probably the Bay of Bengal. Although we're not in India, so I doubt it. Let's move back, I guess, with George Washington. Attack this guy, he's in a house, and he shouldn't be able to protect himself as well as he did. It's as if they've built a house and they're staying in it, whereas we're outside. Thank heavens that ship avoided George Washington. It's not as if he's our commander-in-chief and should be killed if terms of the English. Maybe it should have been the English. It's just a bit difficult to be the Americans. The English are just standing there and winning. Oh no, oh wait, they're moving, my mistake. One guy standing in his little fort. And why wouldn't you? He's probably made it out of mattresses and blankets, and it's probably very comfortable. That horse is good at attacking. Horses, you know, good at guns. You wouldn't think with the hooves that they'd be able to hold the guns, but apparently, according to the American Revolution game created by Kensuke Sasuake, don't know why I got Eastern European at the end there. According to that guy, they're pretty good. And I would listen to whatever his name was. I don't want to repeat it. Just I don't want to get repetitive, guys. I would never do such a thing. I wouldn't repeat jokes or anything. Why does my guys turn purple-coated when attacking, the blue when not? And why is that guy green? I've got a guy named Green, but he's not the guy wearing green, who's then wearing purple when he attacks. Seems like a strange thing to do. I don't know, I'm not a revolutionary, I'm not George Washington. What would I know about battling the British? Apart from being Australian and losing to them in the cricket, which I shouldn't have mentioned because it's not happening clearly, because Australia never loses in sports. No siree! Never, ever. I have to move this guy twice, I don't want to. That's moving back? Come on, that's dumb. Move. Okay, cannons can climb hills, but apparently, build a bridge. No, they can't build a bridge, can't do that. Why not? Who knows? We will never know. It's dramatic. But a lot of Americans are dying in the attempted attack on the British. I mean, really, they really need to fight. You know, if they should have just sat down over a cup of tea to. Oh, wait, sorry, not that. That probably wouldn't have been the best idea for these guys. I'm not the best peacekeeper, guys. I'm not part of the UN General Assembly. But then again, I get more done than they do. Hey, United Nations jokes. They're relevant to the kids. George Washington got 13 blanks left, whatever he had. Oh, just keep shooting this guy in a house. Eventually he should die. You know, what one would suspect that his death would occur at some point. You know, it's just a suspicion that I have that eventually most people will die. I don't know where I get it from. Dun 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 dun. No, we're not charging. Don't be silly. Charging on a horse. That just sounds dangerous. We could fall off. And you know, I just can't risk my soldiers' safety like that. I can get them to die, but you know, fall off a horse. They could turn into that guy from the Superman movies. You know, the new one. You know, the one with the abs. Did he have? I presume he had abs. Most people do have abs, so they can move their stomach muscles, which is what they are. They have what they have, so they can move what they have. I am a doctor, as you can tell. I'm studying biomed. Clearly, you sir can entrench to the southeast. Who doesn't dig? You better dig that grave, guy. I think it seems reasonable to dig a grave when George Washington seems to be about to die. That's good. You know, I reckon the war would have gone just as well if George Washington died. As we're about to discover, is that ship blows him up and kills half of his men. Okay, only 6 though. Probably need to get better guns there, Boaty McGee. Boaty McBoaterson. Boaty Mc... oh, he's dead. George Washington jumps up and down, and... Oh, so George Washington shouldn't have died. Sorry, America. Kinda killed your first president.